Здравейте отново.
Good morning again. I will try to moderate another panel. This is the opening discussion. The topic of this discussion will be instant payments. Instant payments are a very topical issue in the payment ecosystem. If we go back, real-time payment is nothing new. I remember when I started my career in banking, it was a long time ago, we were fighting to ensure instant payments between banking offices and to have real-time transfers. But shortly afterwards, the national version of this type of payments appeared for up to 100,000 leva. Instant payments have been developing continuously. Later, card operators introduced instant payments, and nowadays we have instant payments which become the rule. They are an inseparable part of our everyday life. Over the years, we have been using different terms, immediate payments, fast payments, real-time payments, instant payments. Now we have a Bulgarian term for this, and this is instant payments. So I think this is the best way to describe those type of payments. No matter how we describe them, though, the idea is to transfer the money in almost real time. So you know that according to our national scheme, we have a 10-second slot. And this is valid for most of the European payments. I have three excellent panelists here with me, and I must be at their level, so that's why I browsed the internet. I found a very good interesting study about global instant payments. I noted some important facts in the study. First of all, in 2023, this was a record year for instant payments. I checked and saw a map, global map of countries providing instant payments. There was hardly any country without such payments. Geography covers the globe. Of course, it's normal to have Asia as a leader in terms of innovations, but what I noticed there is that the top 10 included India, Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Netherlands was the European leader in terms of innovations in instant payments. The number of transactions in 2023 was 266 billion, which was up 46% year on year. By the end of 2028, this number will double and even triple, according to some forecasts. Another thing I remember from the study are the 5 main factors which will ensure that the payment ecosystem will have operational instant payments, and these include the first one. This is what we had in the opening part, the active collaboration between regulators and participants, players in the ecosystem. The second item opening and openness of the system, easy access of fintech to the payment ecosystem is another factor. The availability of incentives for traders to accept those payments, the ongoing demand and entry of new customer-oriented aspects. Without some participants in the ecosystem, instant payments wouldn't have been able to enter the market, and also expansion of the geography of instant payments. In most of the countries, we see concentration of national payments, but we speak more and more about cross-border instant payments. In Europe, we are in a favorable position because of SEPA Instant as a scheme. The last trend I have noted, out of the developed countries, India, Indonesia, Malaysia have the highest level of wallets and mobile services. Instant payments and mobile payment services go hand in hand. I will not speak more. I will invite our excellent panelists in our panel. Please welcome Stoilka Arsova, Director of National Card and Payment Scheme BORICA. Very happy to see you. The second panelist, Tatyana Ivanova, Innovation Leader of KBC Group in Bulgaria, Executive Director, Digital Channels Data Operations of UBB. And the third one, for gender equality, Hristiyan Prashkov, Senior Manager, Digital Banking, UnicreditBulbank. I will not be in the limelight now. Before we start, let's do an exercise with our audience. Another interesting point in the study was that according to statistics, 13% of payments in Europe are instant, while in Asia, this percentage is over 30% instant payments. So please raise your hand, those of you who in the past 30 days have done an instant payment. We are, of course, a very specific creme de la creme audience here, but Stoilka, how did instant payments develop since their launch? We started a bit late, but our development is phenomenal because for our small market, we are very close to the global data that you quoted. We have 42% global growth year on year, while in Bulgaria it's 43%. Year-on-year growth. In 2023, 11.1 million transactions for 8 billion leva, while for this year we have already accumulated 25.8 billion leva, which is about 16%, and in the coming years this will triple. I will quote because we have representatives of UBB and Unicredit. These were the first banks introducing by default instant payments. So customers do not choose according to their limit, but up to a certain limit, payments go through the instant payment system, and this set a trend on the market, which of course set an example for other market players. Of course, the speed is very important, 10 seconds, as you said, but this speed will increase in future. And for some payments, 10 seconds is too much already. So in the customer's mind, this is something that stays. So many colleagues and customers use Blink because the price is normal and it's equal to the charges for other payments. In terms of penetration, it is over 20% for credit. In Europe, you mentioned 14%. It's a bit higher, 17.8. So we are close, and with our rate of growth, we can even outperform other market players. Will also introduce by default Blink transfers, and we are also going to increase the limits because at the beginning we put this 30,000 limit as a prevention of risks. Thank you. It's really impressive to hear about those results. And they are impossible without the cooperation of the main players, which are banks. Stoilka mentioned the two banks that introduced by default instant payments. Tatyana, what made you choose this approach?
Yes, indeed. We can congratulate ourselves with these results in less than 3 years. I personally am convinced that the introduction of a new technology is not an aim in itself. It's a way to improve to the utmost the customer experience and make it more pleasant and beneficial. And when we think on how to introduce a new regulation or technology, we have to ask ourselves what problem do we solve, customer problem do we solve? And this was leading in our solution. Customers are looking for easy payments with one click only. They need speed and security. That's why we decided to make all level payments in the digital channels up to 30,000 Bulgarian levs, instant ones. And I can say that the customers discovered the benefits on the fly. We created a wow effect. Initially, they did not know that the payments took place in 10 seconds, 24/7, even on off days. And with this service, we exceeded the expectations. But as you mentioned, now it is already a standard. It is taken for granted. And now our challenge is to find a way to build upon this experience with something new and better. Yesterday, you demonstrated to me something that created a slight wow effect to me. We are ready to demonstrate it, and it will be very pleasant for me to see all participants in this hall to see an AI with payment services in action. Well, by way of a short introduction, I can say that the expectations of the customers are growing, and you have to be ready to offer something even better to them. This year, we managed to make a revolutionary step in the payment in a digital environment by enabling the transfer of payments by way of voice instructions. Our AI is named Kate. So all the regulations are met, all conditions for 2FA have been met. Yesterday, Kate helped us carry out B2B payment. Let's see the demo. while I was talking to Kate, I instructed her to make a payment to Hristiyan by mobile phone. Actually, you don't hear my voice, but my instructions are given in text. She found the name Hristiyan in my contacts, and I confirmed that this was the beneficiary. I selected the account for the transfer, and she generated this payment order. And by way of facial recognition, I confirmed it, and there was a success in the transfer. And within seconds, we had a proof. Yes, I confirm that I received the payment. This is something unique, something we dreamt of several years ago, and it is already a fact. And the embedding of these services is very important. The individuals are not willing to make efforts even in digital channels. That's why Blink P2P has become so popular. It is based on instant payments technology, but it saves you the effort of feeding in your bank account number. This makes the experience of the customer a one. Hristiyan, I would like to say that instant payments have changed the perception and understanding of customers. And this has led to a situation where the instant payments have enabled clients to order payments within seconds. You remember, I believe, the times when payments were processed 3 times a day, and rings was the equivalent of a fast pay. It took it 1 hour. It is part of the history now. Now we see payments that take place immediately, instantly. So from 3 per day, they have been increased to payments at every point of time. We do not offer just services. We offer overall customer experience. We joined the payment system. We started with default payment because we believe that this is the fastest and most comfortable and easy way for our customers to make their payments. Later on, we built on this service. We added Blink P2P, and we offered our customers the opportunity to order these payments without knowing what the bank and the account is. Given the opportunities provided by instant payments and the new technologies, we achieved our strategy of emerging from the traditional banking and offer the beyond banking services. What are beyond banking services? This is multi-functionality. We have Bulbank mobile app. We allow our customers to be notified of, let's say, expiry of their driving license. They get a notification about technical checkup. They get their notifications about penalties from traffic police and all that. So Fintechs acted as a catalyst, and they opened our eyes and allowed us to offer more competitive solutions on the market. This was the driver that brought us here. I'm very happy about what you said. This means that the payment ecosystem in Bulgaria is working. If I'd like to add something. Probably we are creating the perception that we are competing, but I believe that there is no room for competition in this area. When you ask a card system which your biggest competitor is, it would respond cash. To me, P2P payments They also have the function of creating habits in the mass number of customers to convert cash payments to non-cash payments, which is part of our common struggle. All banks decided to offer the service free when they joined the system. So up to December, until December, all payments up to 100 level are free of charge. So if the customer should know that if you choose the cash alternative, they have to pay charges to withdraw them from an ATM. So this is something that happens instantly. It is secure and it is free of charge. That's why I hope that these services will become part of the regular education, regular life situations. For example, bill in a restaurant can be split, or colleagues in an organization are collecting money, let's say, for a birthday. So these are services that transform habits and customer behavior. We believe that with these facilities, we will attain this objective with common efforts. So this has become the new normal. In conclusion, I'd like to say that out of 32 participants in the national card payment system with whom we created standards, because the scheme is made up of standards, we are a regulator of our participants. They self-regulate themselves because they create the business models and rules. So out of 32, 22 are also order and receive payments. This leads to the introduction of new services, including domestic or household services, which have already which are already becoming a fact, and new services will be added. This is evolutionarily normal, particularly with account-to-account payments, to start with transfers between individuals or organizations. But when we are talking about massive introduction of such payments, we can say that without the traders, this way of payment cannot develop. I believe that these are the next steps. Stoilka, is there any readiness in the payment system? BORICA, with its two-system beta 6 in lever and the new system in euro, because we have already started the migration to the first euro system and now to TIPS, which will lead to cross-border payments. In our plans are to introduce services where cash is still dominant. But this year, we launched the service of public parking, and then this is followed by private parking. At many places, there are tickets with the number of the car is introduced. So now we're trying to facilitate the efforts of the customer. Apart from the central system and besides the mobile lookup register, which is the intermediary between the account so we have 8 participants and with the new services that will be built upon. Now we will facilitate the customers, so the parking services and e-commerce is the next one. Very intuitive and easy way to use by the customer. According to a survey, the users of mobile banking in Bulgaria are 2.7 million. How many of them are active users. This is yet for us to see. It is actually a small percentage of these, and we believe that Blink will contribute to their activation with the new services, because everybody uses SMS for parking purposes, but if you have an app, you can see the options in a new city, for example, and when you integrate this with services like My Automobile, this is a very adequate service. With e-commerce, we believe that next year we will be able to pilot this system. What is the process? I have my mobile on the site of the trader. I enter my mobile telephone number. BORICA is linked to the mobile phones of the banks. It will recognize the account. A push notification will get on the telephone. I will confirm as a customer, and that will be all. No second number, no double authentication. A very easy process. In general, this is in demand. So e-commerce is ready to be used by big players, corporate customers, because we still have a lot of cash on delivery in Bulgaria. The major struggle is with cash on delivery, I believe. Hristiyan, the instant payments provide a new life for instant banking, for mobile banking. Can you share some ideas on the strands in the development of super apps? One is what has been said about parking. We show interest. We believe that this is a development in the right direction, a good addition to My Car, My Automobile. The e-commerce payments as an alternative to the traditional card payments is something that we demonstrate interest in, and we are impatient to see the start, the launch of the service, and looking forward to debates on it. What is our advantage compared to other EU countries? And the scheme in Brazil that you quoted comes second. It developed over a period of 3 years. We started with a card scheme and built the infrastructure. We have contracts with all traders, with all virtual vendors, and we have a large acceptance network which will be built upon and reach the traders. It is not a problem for the bank to sign an annex for the new payment service. And our idea is that all traders that use the payment websites of BORICA or another banks to see automatically this new brand. And this is to happen very fast. And the post payments, which will be a next stage, will facilitate the process.
Listening to this, I am aware that we managed to turn regulation into new business opportunities. Based on this regulation, we create business models looking for new application of this technology. We enter into new areas. I join all the efforts of the National Card and Payment Scheme. As a bank, we are going to introduce soon parking services. We are going to continue our successful partnership, and we plan to create an overall ecosystem in mobility through such services, so that we turn a banking app into a lifestyle app, because the added value will be that it will make life easier for our customers in parking or other everyday life. we have such experience with paying vignettes, third-party liability for cars, and so on. Also, a charging station for electric cars. A customer logs in at least once a day, so he or she may start using it for other things, other operations that make life easier for them. We mentioned cross-border. I am not sure what is the percentage share of cross-border instant payments in Bulgaria. I guess it will be in demand soon, and in our preliminary talk you mentioned that BORICA will join certain initiatives in that field. In Europe there are two models at the moment. There are countries which still use card rails. Others use instant, like in our case. There are two initiatives. One of them is EPI that you mentioned in the Netherlands. They bought IT, and another Belgian company, and they launched the EPI initiative, which is open in Germany, France, and so on, where there is no instant infrastructure available. If you check the penetration rate in Belgium, in the Netherlands, there it is only 2%. The card schemes there are very prominent. Bank Contact in Belgium, Girocard in Germany. So they stick to the card scheme, and this is how they want to introduce other services. We, however, copy countries which are like us, for instance, Spain, which launched Bizum. Bizum is our mobile example. It is developing very fast. In P2P payments, we have major volumes there, and the European Central Bank supervises them because this is a major player on the payments market. In Bizum, things are very serious, and they enter e-commerce, post terminals, and so on. Another country which joined recently is Portugal. Until now they were on card rails, but they are transferring to instant payments. They have a very strong operator such as BORICA, and it manages to control the local infrastructure, integrating it to the European infrastructure. Also Italy, Greece, which recently joined, and this is an initiative Europa in caps, Payment Initiative Europa. We are part of this because we see a major potential, especially when it comes to Greece. For P2P, this is our first service in terms of reachability. You can instantly transfer money. Other countries will join, and this model will develop into e-commerce and post payments. We work in close cooperation with Spain. The models we introduce on the market are not a goal in their own right. Rather, they meet the standards of those countries so that in future we can integrate more easily. When we speak about payments, though, we cannot avoid the topic of security. So the agenda today, at least half of it, will focus on fraud prevention, on security. Hristiyan, how did your customers accept instant payments? Was there any concern? We actually incentivized the behavior of customers in order to make sure that by launching instant payments, there will be no growth in frauds. We have gained a lot of experience and data, and we make sure that our customers can use instant payments without risks, because this is the new normality. This is the basis of all new technological solutions. I will confirm that we don't see threats or of fraud-related problems. We are educating our customers. We launch a lot of campaigns. We give them advice how to recognize phishing and how to be on the safe side. We teach them how to manage their finances in digital environment. You mentioned there will be an initiative organized by BORICA. Yes, BORICA and a national card and payment scheme will educate customers in the field of risk. We want to coordinate, we want to add to the portfolio. In the coming year, we are going to work in two priority areas. One of them, verification under Regulation 886 of the European Union. We have a deadline until 27 to introduce the new service. What is the new service about? During the transfer, we need to check to verify the names of the recipients. And this information should be received by the end of the transfer. We manage a very big mobile lookup register where we have the 3 names of our customers. Our ambition is to make sure that 800,000 users registered will be expanded with other data, so that we'll be able to provide the service to other customers of ours who need it in a coordinated way. Of course, there must be rules how to do it. Another thing that is related to verification of payee include the basic rules of the scheme. We have basic rules for at the moment, but we are going to upgrade that so that every payer will have a level of risk, and we are going to agree on that level with other participants. We are going to introduce it in the structure within the program. Those things are related. A second payment, verification of pay, and disputes. This will be very important because we work with a lot of partners. We have to integrate card experience, especially in the field of e-commerce. So we are going to introduce that to our participants soon. Great. Looking forward, what are the challenges you identify in instant payments? Actually, mobile phones will be more dominant than plastic cards in future. This year, thanks to the European Commission, thanks to the fact we are in the EU, Apple Pay opened the technology. They digitalize payment instruments, and we are launching a new project. As I said, we have a Blink, a P2P card, and we have a lot of options where we can join with a non-payment instrument. We're going to build upon with Blink. So this is the future, I think. Cross-border is also another area where we are going to evolve. Operational compatibility is goal number one in Europe. Interoperability, why doesn't it happen? We don't know, because the European Banking Authority wants to include instant in this interoperability. Tanya. I agree with what Stoilka said, because account-to-account payments are part of the strategy of Europe for payment sovereignty. This is not a secret. Europe is a bit lagging behind from other continents and powers. The main challenge is to get scalability, the scale of penetration of those payments and their versions through all these forms of penetration of e-commerce, payments on physical post terminal in a trader's office. Also, buy now, pay later is another option. In prospect, I see also a connection with the ECB project to introduce a digital euro. For me, these are all opportunities, so we have to provide alternatives, options for personal finance management. How this will be supported by the entry of Internet of Things. Our clients and the community will have options for flexible banking, and we will be able to meet their needs. We will offer some advantages for them. As you saw, instant payments are a reality, and you raised your hands to say that you use them already. I will thank the three panelists. Actually, before giving you the floor for questions, we have some announcements. Actually, the gifts that you got has a USB stick. You will be the first to get the new font for our Cyrillic alphabet. It will be announced soon. Our tradition is to keep different fonts of famous Bulgarian figures. We started with Levski. This year it will be Rakovsky, the font of Rakovsky, and next year hopefully Ivan Vazov. All these are 19th century Bulgarian figures. Rakovsky is a very distinctive personality. This is a visionary. This is a person who burns in his ideals, and I will be curious to hear your feedback. We are at your disposal for further questions. If you have questions, please, you have the floor now. And also, we understand Eric is also online, and he will join us. Does anyone need a mic? Thank you very much. Very interesting panel, very interesting discussion. I think everyone understood that instant payment is the trend, and it will stay. Thank you. As I said, the fourth participant of our first panel who had to join us in the morning is Eric.
You see us, hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, it's great. It's really honor to have you in DigiPay. I know that you're part of DigiFisma, so the group which presents the probably the most part of the European payment regulation, and your unit is the one which is responsible for PSD3. So we are eager to hear everything about the new things coming in the part of regulations and other things. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm really sorry not to be physically with you today, but I'm nevertheless super pleased to be able to share with you our work. I'm really happy to see that this conference is focused on instant payment. Instant payment for us in the European Commission has been I would say, the flagship of our payments policy for the past 5 years. And I'm pleased to hear that you share our analysis that instant payments is an extremely strong driver for competition and for innovation. So that is something which I'm very happy about. This is the very timely moment to organize a conference on payments. Payments are in constant evolution, and they will continue to be in constant evolution for the next years. So we in Brussels, in the European Commission, we are trying to follow this evolution, to anticipate this evolution, to regulate where it is necessary to regulate. And as you said, we are currently negotiating a package, PSD3, which revises the legal framework for payments in the EU. And we also, early this year, we had the pleasure to see our instant payment proposal being adopted by the European Parliament and by the European Council. So yeah, we've done a lot in the past years, but we are still very active. Let me say a few words about our objective for this payments policy. I would say three. One is innovation, the other is competition, and the third is security. Yeah, there are more, of course, but I would like to focus today on these ones. So innovation first. As I said just a few seconds ago, everyone can see the spectacular evolution of the way we pay. Think about the emergence of wallets, the emergence of payment apps on mobile phones. Think about instant payment. Think about contactless payment. All these hardly existed 5-6 years ago. And of course, innovation is not going to stop there. So we in the EU, in the European Commission, in the team which I have to lead, we want the EU to be at the forefront of the world's innovation in payment. To some extent, we have been for decades at the forefront of innovation in payments with, for example, the chip which we all have in our credit cards, with open banking, with instant payment. Many of these technologies were born in the EU, and we want, of course, this to continue to be the case. So we have tried, us as regulators, we have tried to promote, to facilitate this transformation, this evolution of our payment landscape. As I just mentioned, we proposed at the end of 22, we proposed a regulation on instant payment because we really understood in the Commission, and I could hear what your panel said before. We understood the importance of instant payment for innovation, for competition. For us, as I said before, it was a flagship of our policy. And this importance was shared, was understood by everyone around us, which means that our proposal was adopted within 1 year, which is EU, just to say how much everyone was sharing our feeling that instant payment were critical. And the new provisions that have been voted by the EU will start applying already at the beginning in January 2025. It will be a progressive rollout of instant payment. And this is for us urgent, and we are also continuing some work in the context of instant payment, because one of the objectives we would like to reach is that instant payment be used in shops, for example, in e-commerce, but also in shops, where the domination in shops is essentially cash and cards. And I know that in Bulgaria, cash is still very much used. Around 63-65% are still made in cash, which I think is the average in the EU. So I'm not here to say that we don't like cash or don't like cards. That's all what I meant. What I meant is to be able to another means of payment to the users, to the consumers, and also another means of payment to offer to the merchants, which hopefully could be cheaper than other means of payments. So that's, if you wish, that's the political importance that we that we grant to instant payment. It is, for us, a very important element of the EU's sovereignty in the world of payments. So it's not just, if you wish, a technical facility which is convenient. It is also, there's also a strategic objective behind. We are also trying to develop QR codes payment in shops, because if you want to pay account to account in a shop, you need something to initiate the payment. It can be NFC technology, contactless. It can be QR codes, and we are now these days we are with the center, the Open Center for Standards. We are trying to arrive at the emergence of a single QR code standard for the EU. This is very, very important, of course. We've also tried to develop, again, in the field of innovation, to develop open banking. Open banking, fintechs. This is, of course, a competition issue, but it is also an innovation issue, because these competitors to the banks, the fintechs, which are active in open banking and other segments of the payments services, they are at the forefront of innovation. And I know, I've read some literature about Bulgarian fintechs, and I know that there is a very vibrant fintech market in Bulgaria. I read the figure of 223 fintechs. I don't know whether it is more or less, but it is still quite a high number of fintechs, and this is an excellent sign of a country which promotes innovation and competition. So open banking, we've done a lot for that. I'm not going to go into the detail, but the proposal, the PSD3 proposal that we have put on the table, will aim at further improving the open banking in the EU, because we are really convinced that open banking has a huge potential for innovation and competition, especially if it is combined with instant payment. It's a very, very strong driver. And finally, as regards innovation, security. I will come back to security as an objective in itself, but we don't want innovation to be at the expense of security. On the contrary, we want security to be fully benefiting from the strong, I would say, innovation and technology that are being developed. So for us, I mean, security in payments means the use of APIs and etc. But I will come back to that in a moment. So innovation really important objective. Second really important objective is competition. Payments today in the EU, we have a very vibrant payment landscape, but still it is, I think, at the EU level, largely dominated by by banks providing payments. It is also largely dominating by card schemes providing payment facility. And again, this is very fine. But what we are trying to arrive is a result where there would be more, even more competition with more players. And again, here I need to talk about fintechs. We are very pleased to see that after PSD2 was adopted, we had about 500 new fintechs emerging in the field of payments to provide new services, account information service, payment initiation service. All these fintechs, I'm not saying that all of them are in super top shape financially, but many of them are still very active. Many of them are extremely, I would say, competitive and offering new services to their clients. And this is something which is for us a very good outcome of our policy, but we want to do more. So that's why I just said our proposed package will further facilitate the work of fintech, especially in open banking. We want to secure is the access to payment systems by non-banks. Until now, it is impossible for non-banks to have a direct access to payment systems. And this is a competition disadvantage, of course. It is more costly, it is more complex to access payment systems for non-banks than it is for the banks that can be direct members or direct participants of the payment systems. We want that to change, to create a level playing field. And this is again what we have done with EU law. We have, in the instant, we have a provision which now, for the future, will make it legally possible for non-banks to access payment systems in the same environment as the banks. And this is for us that was for us a critical move, and I'm very happy that it was endorsed by the EU co-legislators. Another aspect of competition is what we call to eliminate de-risking. We know, unfortunately, that for some fintechs, for some non-banks, it is still today sometimes difficult to find a bank where to have their bank account opened. Many banks, unfortunately, for some reasons, they don't want to work with, to have some clients, to have some fintechs as clients, because they say there might be more risks, there might be money laundering risks, or I don't know what. And we have the impression that sometimes these reasons are sometimes unfounded, because of course there is a competition issue between the banks and the non-banks there. So it might be a means for some banks to keep competitors away by denying them access to a bank account. And this is again something that we want to fix. And this is something that we have in PSD2, but it is probably not enough efficient in PSD2. So in PSD3, we will have more robust rules on eliminating de-risking by banks of non-banks. Finally, let me come to security. Security, as I already said before, it's critical for us. Of course, we don't want our EU rules on competition and innovation to be designed at the expense of security. Security in payments is becoming, even more critical than ever before because of technology. In a way, technology enables, unfortunately, fraudsters to be even more sophisticated. Think about artificial intelligence, which can be used by intended people to defraud some victims. So we are really determined to increase the level of security in payments. Let me give a few examples. We have for open banking, for example, we believe that open banking must take place in or through interfaces which have to be, state of the art, like APIs, for example. We have taken that so that when data are circulating between different players, this circulation has to be done in extreme secure environments. We have also proposed new measures to combat fraud. As I just said, fraud is really becoming a plague in payments. We believe that the best way to address fraud is via prevention. The best fraud, if I can say so, is the fraud that is not going to take place because it has been prevented. And how do we get there? This is, of course, a bit more complex, but we are trying to develop the awareness, the information that people must have about fraud in order to be able to detect, to identify cases of fraud. Fraud is becoming extremely sophisticated with manipulation, with tricks, with impersonation, with spoofing. So you and I, we should all be more, I would say, aware of the modus operandi of fraud in order to be able to say no and to hang up, when we are called by someone. Too many people are still unable to distinguish cases of fraud. So we're trying to improve the awareness. We are trying to improve also the panoply that the banks and the non-banks will have to detect fraud. Like, for example, verification of payee. I think it was mentioned in the panel before. For us, it is very important that when there is a credit transfer, there should be this immediate verification between the name of the payee and the IBAN number, which is put in the transfer. And immediately the system will be able to detect whether there is a discrepancy between the name and the IBAN number. And that is a very strong tool, which was already developed in the Netherlands, for example, and it has given a good result there. So we want this facility to be, in a way, extended to everyone in the EU. We also want the banks to be able to share more data on fraud between themselves. Today, the banks, they come to us and they say, we would like to communicate to other banks, suspicious IBAN numbers or suspicious names, or and it is legally challenging for them to do that today because of legal constraints like GDPR, the protection of data. So we have in package that we have proposed, we have some important new measures in order for the banks to be allowed to share more data between themselves, breaching the GDPR. This is for us absolutely key. So prevention is key. Prevention is our number one line of defense. But of course, we all know we are not naive. We know that sometimes prevention is not sufficient. Sometimes fraud is taking place. And then comes the question of who pays? Who foots the bill? Should it be the consumer? Should it be the bank? Should it be online platforms, the telecom operators, or should it be shared between all these, participants to the chain? And what we have today in PSD2 is a situation where liability is shared between the payer and the bank, depending on whether or not the transaction was to be considered authorized. If the transaction was authorized by the payer, then the payer pays. If the transaction was not authorized, then the bank pays. That's the simple situation we have today. But this simple situation can no longer continue with the current technological changes and social engineering and manipulation fraud. It is very difficult today to determine whether a transaction was authorized or not, because even if technically there was an authorization given, in reality, people didn't have at all the intention to send money to a fraudster. So this is what we are discussing today with the member states. What should be the right allocation of costs between banks and payers? And also, what should be the role of telecommunication operators or online platforms? We saw some figures recently. About 60 to 70% of payment fraud cases started, in an online environment, in a fake website, for example. So that brings the question of, whether these operators, these electronic communication operators, should have a certain role to play in the prevention, but also maybe in the liability. So this is what we are discussing. So I want to say just one word about the future and also about Bulgaria. So for the future, for the next years, we are going to continue, of course, working with these objectives in mind: innovation, competition, security, and as an overarching objective, EU sovereignty, of course. We want to be sovereign in payments, as we want to be sovereign in many other critical services, energy, transport, telecom, defense. So payments are critical. So we want to continue working against fraud. We want to continue regulating adequately the emerging payment service providers, like wallets, like systems that are emerging. We want to see to what extent they will need to be further supervised. And we want, of course, to reflect about what should be the contribution of artificial intelligence in all this, because it is going to revolutionize the way we pay. There's no doubt about that. So we want to keep fully abreast of this. For your country, of course, you are fully part of all this. You are part of the EU, and we discuss quite frequently with Bulgarian stakeholders, with Bulgarian authorities, and we are delighted to have these occasions to exchange. Your country, as you know very well, has applied to join the Eurozone, the Euro area, at a date which I understand isn't yet fully known, but I think everyone talks about mid-25, which, okay, let's see if this happens. It is, of course, as you know, not in my control whatsoever. But for you, that means obviously new opportunities, for Bulgaria. You are already part of SEPA, of course, but as a non-Euro country, the benefits of SEPA are perhaps a bit less pregnant in a way, less prominent. So that will multiply the opportunities for Bulgarian financial services, payment services providers to benefit from the SEPA standards, instant payment, direct debits, credit transfers. Tomorrow maybe the digital euro, who knows? So this is exciting times for your country with that prospect in mind. And I'm really looking forward to continuing engaging with you all on payments matters. These are exciting times for Bulgaria, but these are also super exciting times for the EU in payments. And I'm really happy to be, leading such an exciting policy. But of course, we don't do that in isolation. On the contrary, and that's why I'm super happy to be here with you today. So I have a few minutes, if you wish, for questions. I'm in your hands, and I will stop there and I will give you the floor back. Thank you very much.
To Mr. Ducoulombier. I have one comment. Because of my open banking fintech background, I was part of the PSD3 survey and the discussions with the European Digital Finance Association. And what I'm missing in PSD3, it's my personal requirement, is the global API. I know that it's hard to be presented to the banks, but if we want really working APIs, I think that the global one is the better solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I take your point. When you mean global API, you mean a single standard of API. Yeah, it is true that we have not harmonized, we have not imposed a single standard for APIs, but de facto, there is one standard which has emerged as the dominant standard, which is the Berlin Group, and I know that your banks certainly follow this standard. So in reality, of course, there are still 2 or 3 standards, but one is super dominant, I think, with something like 80% of the market share. But still, you are right. If we could do PSD2 again, maybe we would have, knowing what we know now, maybe we would have come up with a single API standard. But with PSD3, it would have been very difficult, as you can imagine, for all the banks that had designed their own APIs to all of a sudden tell them, well, guys, now you have to change your APIs. You have to reinvest in APIs because we are going to come up with a single standard. So in a way, we were dependent on the legacy of PSD2 when we designed PSD. Things cannot be completely overhauled and redone from scratch. We have a legacy to take into consideration, and that is valid for APIs, that is valid for open banking. It's yeah, but I see your point. And maybe I share your point as well. But yeah, that's the way it is.
For the insights, any question? We have a question. Microphone chair. We are just waiting for the microphone.
Okay. Super.
Господин.
Hello. When talking about the global API you mentioned, how do you see the future of the digital euro?
Oh, this is a very difficult question because you need a kind of crystal ball to see the future in it.
No, not the ball, not the actual predictions.
Yeah, the digital euro. Okay, there is a strong, very strong willingness from the European Central Bank to come up to have a digital euro. That was a will expressed by the ECB already 5-6 years ago, and they are still working, a lot towards reaching this objective. Because for them, it is a contribution to the sovereignty objective, which I just mentioned. It is also a means to preserve the existence of central bank money if one day cash is disappearing. And it is also a means to make sure that digital currencies are not left to the private sector. Remember the story of Facebook launching their own digital currency. So that was really a shockwave for central bankers. So for these reasons, the ECB is still very determined. But it is indispensable to have a legal framework for such a digital euro to be issued. And this is where we are now. We are negotiating with the Council, with the European Parliament, a legal framework which will frame the design of the digital euro legally. And it proves very complex. There are many questions, that arise. Should it be online, offline? Should it be account-based, token-based? Should it be wholesale, retail? What should be the data protection safeguards? What should be the spending limits? What should be the holding limits? What should be the remuneration for the banks that will distribute it? What should be the obligation for the merchants to offer it to their clients? So all these questions, they are not technical, they are highly political. And around the table, you have very different views. And the views are, what's in it for me as member states? What's in it for me if I'm a bank? What's in it for me if I'm a merchant? So this is very political and controversial. Also, the public opinion sees some threats to the anonymity, in a way, of cash payments, which they have today. They see a plot to track their payments, which will all become digital. So there's a lot of hype around the digital euro, and this hype manifests itself with difficulties to negotiate the legal framework. But still, I believe there will be an adoption of this legal framework in the coming maybe within 1 year, and then it will not be the end of things. It probably will be not the beginning, but still some important steps will have to be taken, like the political decision to issue a digital euro, and who is going to take it. This is a very important question. Should this decision be left to the ECB? Should this decision be shared with member states, with parliaments as well? And one day the ECB will have to decide, okay, now green light, I issue digital euro. And then comes the question of when to issue a digital euro. And so, I think we are talking about, 5 to 6 years from now, probably, because of all this, negotiations of the framework, implementation of the framework, decision about the issuance, actual, issuance by the ECB. So this is a, short to medium-term project, which still has many obstacles on its way. But there is merits in this. There's merits in this for the reasons I just mentioned. But we have to reflect what will be the place of the digital euro in the landscape. We have to reflect what will be, the possible interactions between the digital euro and private payment solutions based on instant payment, for example. There are some emerging solutions in Europe, pan-European solutions like EPI, the European Payments Initiative, like EMSA, which I think was mentioned before, which now, has positive outcomes in Spain, Italy, and Portugal. I saw also yesterday that BLIK in Poland is expanding beyond Poland and going to Romania or Slovakia. I know that also in the north of Europe, there are still some movements around some strong players like mobile pay. So, there is a lot of innovation, of energy, and the digital euro will have its own merits, its own role to play. It will also be pan-European, by design, but it will have to find its place in this landscape. Let's see. This will be an important issue for the years to come, and of course, Bulgaria, if and when part of the euro area, will play a key role also in these discussions. So, that's what I can say at this stage. I'm sorry I cannot be more, more precise, because it is impossible at this stage. There are too many unknown factors.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. I have a signal that we are behind our schedule.
Oh, my fault.
And I'm really pleased that you joined us, and we are waiting you here in Sofia next time.
Thank you very much. Have a very, very nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Това беше финала.
This was the end of our first part. We have a 10-minute break, 15-minute break. Our colleagues from BORICA will ensure the coffee break. Thank you.